Hello everyone, this is Dr. Pete and just wanted to do a video. I kind of had two moving parts here on this one. One, I had, if you will, a peer. It mentioned some feedback or some support on how videos use can be and how to leverage. They're more of an on-site instructor, will leave their name and school out of it, but they have an interesting situation. They're on-site, but they also are kind of looking at how they could leverage some of the flexibility and innovation that goes on with technology, especially with videos. I think sometimes and we went through about an hour-long discussion on the phone. It was an excellent phone call. Just really, really happy that went well. The biggest thing is there's so much technology out there that sometimes you have to say that it's too much. That it's there's so many programs that I tell people find something that works for them. So again, my criteria is that I'm looking at how easy something's used, flexibility. Can other people use it? And is it free or cheap? I know that sounds bad, but it's just the way it is. Okay. I don't want someone to say, well, I have this excellent program. There's this one while back, it'd show the paper and you could go in and do all this and that and actually talk, and it's kind of a neat program, but it was $100 a year. So how would I justify telling a student, hey, by the way, if you want your paper and see it, you need to go pay $100 eventually if you do this enough. And I just didn't think that was value added. Having said that, so sometimes there's too much technology, and you need to sit there. And I'm the first one to say that. As much as I love videos, you can overuse them. Like I just had this conversation with an administrator. I said I used videos a lot in classes with discussion on Facebook updates on projects. I do things like final papers, but it's very hard to say, well, I want a grade discussion post. Not do them, but grade them with video or assessments or small assignments. Just so time consuming, and it's good to put some written feedback in. So you want a mix of things. But I believe that if you have a good solid mix, it makes the online more on-site than on-site. I truly believe that. So this professor is looking to be on-site, but looking to make a little bit more impact online, not only to give his students some pre-help with the videos in the field, but also some post-help and support. And that's the only way you can do that is truly with an education channel or leverage it with some other like video usage. And that's really the only way to do it. You don't want to give your phone number out, or you can, but eventually you're just going to have thousands of people calling you all the time, and you just don't have time for that. So this is the best way to do it. So anyways, and then I had an issue with the student. They were talking about turning papers in late. Nothing drives me more insane. And I say that jokingly, but someone says, well, I have a semester. It doesn't matter if it's 5 weeks, 10 weeks, 16, whatever, 8. But when they turn all their papers in the last week, I have a lot of compassion for students. I really do. And we've all been there, okay? We all lose people, get sick or whatever. And then there's just the lazy, okay? So there's a lot of serious things, and then there's a lot of just you just didn't do it, okay? The problem is that some students say, well, I'm going to turn in all my stuff the last week. And sometimes that's appropriate. Someone died in the family or they've had illness and you really want to help that student. But the problem is the standard doesn't change, okay? In other words, now you're getting a grade, which feedback or not, it doesn't matter because feedback's really about the moment, so you can do well the following week. So you have a lot limited feedback because you're at the end of a class. You don't have the benefit of that feedback in order to do better, right? And so you keep compounding issues, and then you kind of wear the professor out. I mean, you're asking them to do a whole semester grading in a relatively short period of time. That can be very frustrating because you keep seeing the same problems, but it can also be very taxing time-wise because there's still final stuff to grade. And most professors, I'm an optimist, want you to do well. So that can be very taxing, very frustrating. Okay, so just to point that out. Another problem is some students will put minimal effort to try to get like a C or B type grade, but they'll put minimal effort thinking, well, the professor will just whip through it and give me a grade. Some may do that, and it's very disappointing, and they're really not doing you a service. I know some students may think that, but at the end of the day, it's not helping you. This next part is that you have to also look at the fact that if a student does that, there's also a temptation to cheat. And out of like let's say every 5 students that do this, there's one that cheats. They just literally copy and paste everything, hoping the professor whips through that. And again, that nobody wins with that. And when you get caught, obviously it's plagiarism, things like that. So the professor's already kind of like pressured, and some are annoyed, and some are just just not happy. Okay, but they want to help you. But if you do the plagiarism route or cheating route, that really frustrates them even more. And that can make them not want to grade anything after that, or go back and check your work and make sure that you failed the class because you've cheated. If you cheated there, you probably cheated somewhere else. And then they turn you over for academic integrity violations. So, what I would suggest is there's no dishonor or there's nothing wrong with the fact that if you have a true issue, true medical, death in the family, deployment in the military, something that truly prevents you from doing the work, I always tell students, go to your academic advisor too and say, look, I'm in a real hard spot. Most professors will work with you, but sometimes you just get to that point where there's just no working. There's just not enough time. Go to your academic advisor and ask them, what's the policies with the school? This is my situation. I simply have a sick spouse. I got issues. It's okay to ask for that support. Also, letters of accommodation. Like, they may actually work with you and say you have more time to turn things in. They also may also work with you for counseling services. Maybe you have real emotional period, because I had one student just recently say they lost 8 family members. I mean, one's bad enough, let alone 8. So there are some rules and criterias, and sometimes you can help and sometimes you can't. But at the end of the day, what you have to do is really focus on reaching out for help and support. But when you jam up the tube at the end, the grading tube, so to speak, or grade book, it becomes quite the issue very quick. So those are some topics, just some things. I'll try to address some political ones later, but just really catching up from Kentucky Boys State. Just very, very tired and just trying to catch up. But these were two that came up, and I want to make sure we covered them. I appreciate it, and best of luck.